Turning back to the tariffs, Kristin Myers is the ETF editor-in-chief for Asset TV. She joins us now to break down the economic impact of the Supreme Court striking down President Trump's tariffs. Kristin, thanks so much for joining us. Good morning. There are a lot of questions about what comes next, including the possibility of refunds to importers. So how could this ruling impact global trade deals?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And unfortunately, the answer to that really remains seen. What we've seen so far in response to a lot of these Trump tariffs is a lot of nations have been rethinking and a lot of companies have been rethinking their supply chain logistics. We've heard about nations saying, hey, we're going to cut the United States essentially out of our trade routes and we're going to figure out different trade partners. And we've also seen increased costs. Now, will all of that snap back to what it was before? That's a really big question. Once a company decides that it's going to move around its supply chain, once a nation decides it's going to cobble together a trade deal with a different nation, that's something that's a little bit hard to unwind. So how nations will respond to this ruling. Now, remember, President Trump actually did increase tariffs up to 15%. That's the maximum allowed limit under his presidential authority. So we'll have to see how companies respond to that 15% tariff limit to see if it'll be a positive movement.
And Kristin, I want to play some of Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear's sound. This is what he said about the tariff decision on Face the Nation.
My hope is that this decision stops the chaos in how these tariffs are being implemented, because business needs stability, trade needs stability.
So, Kristin, what do you make of that? At this point, would just some stability, some consistency on tariffs be helpful to businesses, to consumers?
I mean, 100% without a doubt. Absolutely. This is something that businesses have been saying repeatedly. This is something that Wall Street has said repeatedly. Investors really hate uncertainty. Businesses hate uncertainty. The reality is that if you're a business owner that is trying to figure out how much goods or raw materials that you need to import for the next quarter, you have to kind of have a pretty good sense about how much that's going to cost so that you can decide what price you're going to charge your clients and your consumers. And right now, businesses have really been unable to do that. And so a lot of the trade data that we've seen in 2025 has really been wonky, as a lot of businesses had said, hey, while the prices are cheap, while the prices are lower, let's go and import as much as we can right now in the first quarter instead of spreading it out over the next 2 quarters. And it has really made things a little bit difficult for businesses in terms of pricing things out for their consumers. It's made things difficult in terms of determining how much they're going to be able to import and export. So the stability is something that a lot of businesses have wanted, and this is something that they've really applauded because it gives them a little bit of that consistency that they've been needing.
All right, Kristin Myers, we appreciate your perspective. Thank you.